Hello everyone, my name is Elijah. Thank you for giving the opportunity for me to share my arts with you. This is a song I wrote called Medicine. I'll be the ground you stand on. I'll give you everything, I'll get to know you well. I'll give you something to lean on. I'm the key when you're locked inside yourself. Get it out in the open. Do you feel the need to fix what ain't broken? Let's get it out in the open. Can't you see it's your sanity? Oh no. But if I go, you'll go through this all alone. Hey, come on. Hey, come on. Hey, come on. Hey, I'll be your medicine. I'll fix you up and calm you down. Your medicine is so good when I'm around. When the rain's all done and the pain's all gone, stick with me. You won't feel sick with me at all. Hey, come on. Hey, come on. Hey, come on. Hey, I'll be the ground you stand on. I'll give you everything, I'll get to know you well. I'll give you something to lean on. I'm the key when you're locked inside yourself. Get it out in the open. Do you feel the need to fix what ain't broken? Let's get it out in the open. Can't you see it's your sanity? Oh no. Yeah, 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 yeah. If I go, you'll go through this all alone. And I'll be your medicine. I'll fix you up and calm you down. Your medicine, so good when I'm around. When the rain's all done and the pain's all gone, just stick with me. You won't feel sick with me at all. You won't feel sick with me at all. It don't matter the time, it don't matter the place. You misuse me in so many ways. It don't matter the time, it don't matter the place. You misuse me in so many ways. It don't matter the time, it don't matter the place. You misuse me, you misuse me. I'll be your medicine. I'll fix you up and calm you down. Your medicine, so good when I'm around. When the rain's all done and the pain's all gone, just stick with me. You gotta stick with me. I'll be your medicine, and I'll fix you up and calm you down. Your medicine, so good when I'm around. When the rain's all done and the pain's all gone, just stick with me. You won't feel sick with me at all. Hey, come on. Hey, come on. Hey, come on. Hey. Thank you. Thank you, Peace Church. Thank you everything for you that you've done for me and my family. We really appreciate it. God bless. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to each of you to our virtual worship service. We are planning to continue to worship this way throughout April. We do hope you'll join us following the service for a Zoom coffee hour. Virtual Nathan will be hosting that. I hope you've received links to this and to all the other gatherings that are going out virtually. They were in our weekly email and in the newsletter. If you didn't get that information, please email the office and we'll make sure to get you connected. There's so much going on the web. Kids Club on Wednesdays at 3, middle school youth group and Bible study for adults at 6, confirmation at 7, it's the first year class this week, and virtual Sunday school at 9:30. We will continue to meet this way as long as necessary. Prayers requests for today can be emailed for inclusion in the prayer time this morning at prayers@peaceucc.org. Ask that you get us those prayer requests by the hymn following the sermon so we can make sure they're included, and we'll get those to the prayer chain as well. We know that this is a time of economic hardship for many people, and we encourage you, if you are able, to give to the church and other places like Chum, Lifehouse, and Damiano, if you are able to do this. You may want to give to global organizations such as the One Great Hour of Sharing, which we received last week, which does relief work worldwide. Our Gabriel Fund at Church is here to help people with basic needs, both in this community and beyond. There's online giving on our website. Limited staff are in the office, and the office is closed to traffic, but feel free to call us and leave a message, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Email is being answered by all staff, and we're setting up buddy systems to call and check in on one another. And we have lots of volunteers, so if you would like to be called or have a need, do not hesitate to call the office, and we'll get you connected. I just want to give thanks to our tech team this morning, Doug Bowen-Bailey, Tim Carpenter, and Alex Dean for making this service possible, and also to Jim Pospisil. Hours and hours of work went to get this online and for our staff to work remotely. Many months ago, we planned to remember and honor Chaplain Xavier Bell this day. March 31st would have been X's 58th birthday, and his children were going to do the music this morning as a way of saying thank you for hosting the service here at Peace Church. I'm grateful through Doug and technology we're able to do this morning, so thank you, Jacob, Eric, Autumn, Elijah, and Hannah. Elijah was our prelude. Jacob and Eric will be in the postlude, so stick around after the service and continue to listen. Let us be called to worship now by the ringing of our peace bells. I invite you to join me in the responsive call to worship that should be on your screen. Holy One, bend your ear to us today. Hear our cries. We have somehow ended up in bondage again, wrapped up in anguish, rotting away with regret. Yet with you it is all forgetting and forgiving. You lift us again and again from the depths of misery. Your kindness, O God, has taught us to worship you and to wait for you through dark times. For you will arrive with love, just as the morning brings light and a new day. And we'll now sing Morning Has Broken.
Morning has broken. God's recreation of a new day.
I invite you to join me in our unison prayer of confession. We are set free by your saving grace, generous God. Yet we must confess how we are still bound by prejudice and fear. We seem unable to throw off the grave clothes of our sin and indifference. We cling to our fears, for they are so familiar. Yet in every corner of our lives, in every shadow we fear, into death itself, you come, steadfast love. You break the bonds of sin and fear, giving us new strength and hope for our journey, calling us to new life through the resurrecting love of Jesus, our Christ. Amen. We now have a song for reflection by Hannah.
Time to confess I'm in distress, oh, time to confess I'm in distress, oh, time to confess I'm in distress, oh, oh, oh. Time to confess I'm in distress, oh, time to confess, oh. Time to confess I'm in distress, I'm looking for help and I'm reaching for you. Time to confess I'm in distress, I'm looking for help and I'm reaching for you. Time to confess I'm in distress, I'm looking for help and I'm reaching for you. Time to confess I'm in distress, I'm looking for help and I'm reaching for you. Wealth and helpless, walking through this life defeated. I have hands to want, cause I need to feel completed. Oh, looking in your eyes while I'm screaming, I fear you're not listening. You're not listening. Time to confess I'm in distress, I'm looking for help and I'm reaching for you. Time to confess I'm in distress, I'm looking for help and I'm reaching for you. Time to confess I'm in distress, I'm looking for help and I'm reaching for you. Time to confess I'm in distress, I'm looking for help and I'm reaching for you. I'm reaching for you. I'm reaching for you. I'm reaching for you. Oh, 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 oh. I'm reaching for you. I'm reaching for time to confess I'm in distress, so time to confess I'm in distress, oh, time to confess I'm in distress, oh, 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 time to confess I'm reaching for you.
Hear these words of assurance. Come out, Jesus calls, and his words unbind us from the oppressive weight of our past and pushes away the rocks that close us off from love. We are made free in the Spirit of God and forgiven for all our sins. Thanks be to God. This is, as Sharon said last week, the time when we invite all the kids to come forward and it'll be packed down here. I'm so grateful that Sharon made the kids to represent each of you. And it was fun to hear which color is your favorite. I know Alex said he loved the green one. And so it's just been so fun to hear from you. So thanks to Sharon for making this. You can join her for virtual Sunday school if you want at 9:30 every Sunday morning. And that way you can actually see each other on Zoom. I bet lots of you are starting school in a whole new way this coming week. And I want to give thanks to all our teachers and educators out there who are working so hard to put this together so fast. And so we ask for patience. Everything is changing and it's all really weird. At times, your hearts might be super sad because you don't get to see your friends, and that's really hard. Or you might find yourself getting angry or mad. That is so normal right now. When everything changes, when everything is confusing, it's a thing called grief. And grief has lots of feelings wrapped up into it. Jesus felt those feelings too. He got sad. In today's Bible lesson, it talks about how Jesus cried, and we'll actually sing a song about that. He also got mad. Another part of it says that he was angry in his stomach. Like, you know those feelings. His really good friend Lazarus had died, and it made his heart hurt. But in today's story, he shows us that death is never the final word. Love is. Jesus calls out, "Come out, Lazarus, come out." And then he tells all those who are around him to push back the stone and unbind all those things he's wrapped in. Help him. That's what we're supposed to do for one another, to help each other, to be the helpers. And I'm so glad that Sharon came up with a great way for us to do that. And some of you are already doing it, and we'll show the pictures up there. She came up with the idea to spread joy, not germs. And we are so glad for that. And we're asking you to put pictures up in your home and to do those pictures, show those pictures so people can walk by as they're going out for walks with their families or with their animals, their dogs, and see the pictures in your windows. We want you to send us those pictures, and we're going to put them up on our Facebook page and our website so that we see those. Doing something like this helps our hearts feel better. And I give thanks for all of you. Let us pray. Dear God, we give thanks for our feelings. Help us to share them in ways that are healing. Help us to spread joy, not germs. And we give thanks that you are with us always. Amen. And now we have a scripture reading.
Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications. If you, O Lord, should mark my iniquities, Lord, who could stand? But there is forgiveness with you, so that you may be revered. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in his word I hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than those who watch for the morning, more than those who watch for the morning. O Israel, hope in the Lord, for with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is great power to redeem. It is he who will redeem Israel from all its iniquities.
God's word in the gospel from John 11, 1 through 45. It's a long reading, so I've asked my daughter Maddie and Frost, Bo, and Bailey to help play the parts. Maddie will be Martha, and of course, Frost is Jesus. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and Martha, her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was ill. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus.
Lord, he whom you love is ill.
But when Jesus heard it, he said,
This illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it.
Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, Let us go to Judea again. And the disciples said to him, Rabbi, the Jews were just now trying to stone you, and you're going there again?
Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Those who walk during the day do not stumble because they see the light of this world. But those who walk at night stumble because the light is not in them. Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to awaken him.
The disciples said to him, "Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he'll be all right." Jesus, however, had been speaking about death, and they thought they were referring merely to sleep.
Lazarus is dead. For your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him.
Thomas, who was called the Twin, said to his fellow disciples, "Let us also go, that we may die with him." When Jesus arrived, they found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had come to Mary and Martha to console them about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, while Mary stayed at home.
Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now, I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him.
Your brother will rise again.
I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day.
I am the resurrection of the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?
Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world.
When she said this, she went back and called her sister Mary and told her privately.
The teacher is here and calling for you.
And when she heard it, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet come to the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. The Jews who were with her in the house consoling her saw Mary get up quickly and go out. They followed her because they thought she was going to the tomb to weep. When Mary came to Jesus and saw him, she knelt at his feet and said to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved.
Where have you laid him?
They said to him, "Lord, come see." And Jesus began to weep.
And Jesus wept the falling tear, in mercy flowed beyond all bound. When Jesus groaned on trembling fear, seized all the guilty world around.
So the Jews said, "See how he loved him." But some said, "Could he not, who opened the eyes of the blind man, have kept this man from dying?" Then Jesus, again greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it.
Take away the stone.
Lord, already there is a stench because he has been dead 4 days.
Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?
So they rolled away the stone.
Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe that you sent me. Lazarus, come out.
The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth.
Unbind him and let him go.
Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what Jesus did, believed. Thanks be to God for the word of God. We have now a really beautiful song by Autumn, so I give thanks for this music.
Hi, Peace Church. My name is Autumn. Thanks so much for having me be a part of your service today. My family, the Bell family, was wishing we could have been there today. We were supposed to be there as part of this church service, but things being as they are, we're doing everything through a live stream and over the internet. And so this is cool to be able to have a chance to do this. You guys have always been our Duluth church. That's what we've always called you guys. And we're so grateful that you were the ones who hosted our dad's memorial and his funeral service and celebration of life back in October. That always meant so much to us. And this would have been our way of thanking you guys for that. So thanks for letting us be a part of the service today. We really love you guys. The song that I'm about to sing is called So Afraid. And I wrote it to a friend of mine back when I was in high school, somebody who I had grown up in church with, who just kind of wandered off from the faith. And it was really important to me to see them just be welcomed back into just the family of God, and to know that they had never gone too far to be welcomed back. So that's what this song's about. It's always been near and dear to my heart to not forget people who are feeling lost or isolated or alone or sad or fearful. And so that's what this song is about.
Friend of ours, dear sweet child of God, you are steadily on our minds as we watch you walk this hard path you're on. We can't stand to watch you go so far. We understand your calloused heart, 'cause we've been let down too. Faith in God just won't lead you wrong unless pride
I invite you to join me in prayer. O Lord, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of each of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. This Tuesday, March 31st, would have been Xavier Bell's 58th birthday. He died last October after suffering a heart attack. And several months ago, his wife and I, Donna, talked about his kids, or his tribe, as he called them, doing music this Sunday as a way of remembering X and giving thanks for his work among us in this Duluth community. Chaplain X was the executive director of the Family Freedom Center in Lincoln Park, and he was at the heart of so much of the justice work of our community. When I was with Donna at the hospital, I asked her if Chaplain X had a favorite verse, and without a pause, she said Luke 4. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor, release to the captive, set at liberty those who are oppressed. Yes, that was his life work. I'm still so grateful that we're able to have his kids be with us virtually today and share music, because music was a core part of their ministry together. And Autumn's song, So Afraid, gives voice to the pain, the grief that we are feeling in this time. For we are grieving as a community, as a nation, as a world. But her song also gives a word of hope. What are you so afraid of? Why are you walking away? God's love will keep you alive now. A perfect song to address the chaos of emotions that we are feeling. The emotions of grief. That's what it is. Grief. There's sadness, anger, confusion, and yet there's compassion. Compassion for one another, and even hope. Everything is different now, and we're not sure when or how this will end. We will find a brand new normal. It's chaos. Just like the Holy Week so long ago. And today, we have this story, the gospel story, just before Jesus walks into Jerusalem. A story where Jesus gets sad and mad and shows us that there is more, always more. Come out of your caves of fear, unbind one another, and believe, trust. There is a glimpse of hope in what Jesus does for his friend Lazarus, and God will do for him. Reverend Barbara Brown Taylor, an Episcopalian, writes, "It is his and our assurance that there is a power at loose in the world that is stronger than death, stronger even than our fear of death, which is able to call us out of our stinking tombs into the fullness and sweetness of life." Yes, grief comes to each of us. The uniqueness of this time of coronavirus is that we are all sitting in it together, and it stinks. We wonder and we wail with the folks in today's gospel lesson, "Oh, Jesus, if you had been here, this wouldn't have happened." I think to be human is to say that to one another. Why? Why? We need to ask those questions in this time. Because this story is not just about Lazarus and his community, it's our story. Lazarus comes from Eleazar, which means God helps. And Bethany means house of affliction. So in the very first line, we have God helps the house of affliction. That is our hope if we work together. The deep grief, the wondering about the presence of God is our story too. Why does Jesus wait? In the story for today, we aren't told why he tarries. He intentionally waits. He stayed. He drags his feet. That's crazy. But he wanted to make sure that everyone saw in Lazarus' death the inbreaking of God, and to make sure no one missed it. And so he tarried 2 more days, so that by the time he arrived at Lazarus' tomb, it would have been 4 days, which meant that his spirit would have been gone. Because in the culture of that time, it was felt that the spirit stuck around the body for about 3 days, and then made the journey on the 4th, much like Native American traditions in this time. So it is very clear that Lazarus has moved on. Mary and Martha both say, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Who has not felt a similar feeling during times of grief or tragedy? God, where are you? Couldn't have you done something? Please. Jesus does go to Bethany. He finds Mary and Martha and the whole community in the midst of their grief. In that culture, where embalming wasn't possible, burial took place on the day of death. And that meant mourning, which often precedes the burial in our time, had to happen after the burial. Men and women would grieve in procession, men in separate lines from the women, and the women would return from the procession, the burial, and spend 30 days in grief. They were expected to wail, to make dramatic expressions of grief. That's what they were doing when Jesus returns. It is into this chaos that he comes, and his humanity is so very real for us. He experiences grief. When he sees his friends weeping, he cannot help but cry. Where have you laid him? And he goes and sees. In this passage, we hear that Jesus is moved, which translates, he was angry, he is indignant at the power of death. He participates fully in the sorrow of this time. He does not work his miracle around the grief. He works the miracle through the grief. It is the raising of Lazarus where he creates in the midst of grief, brings forth love in the midst of loss. And we need this now. We have seen how connected we are all to one another. And it takes communities to move the stones away from the caves of fear so that we can hear each other's name being called, to release the stench, it does stink, and find the new life. The community takes off the grave clothes in the mess of life, the sorrow in which we are wrapped. We need one another as we unbind each other. I am grateful for the many ways that this is happening now. Like Pat O'Connell, who went and got groceries for one of our members who is unable to leave his apartment and whose arms workers have been canceled until May. The stone was rolled away. In the calls being made to each other as we check up on each other, stones are being rolled away. In the gifts that are being made to the Gabriel Fund that allow us to give Super One gift cards to folks in our congregation in need, but also to members of the wider community who have needs, like the kids at Lifehouse or families at ACO, and the stone is rolled away. Or in the Spread Joy Not Germs, where our kids are putting up pictures in the windows, stones rolled away. And there are so many stories of hope coming at us. I don't know about you, but I cried with Hoda on the Today Show when she was interviewing Drew Brees and his incredible gift to the people of New Orleans. We need each other in this time, in this stinking beautiful journey of life as we go on to the next. We need each other to move the stones and untie the grave clothes that we wrap ourselves in. For as Reverend Barbara Brown Taylor writes, I am the resurrection and the life, Jesus says to a grieving Martha. Not I will be, but I am. Right here, right now, resurrection and life for anyone to believe that it just might be true. Our story is not a safe story, but is a strong one, with the power to lead us through this stinking graveyard and out to the other side. It is a story that Xavier Bell believed in. Chaplain X preached his own funeral. I remember sitting with his family at their table in their home eating pizza, and they showed me a video of X, the Fellowship of the Unashamed, and he was preaching, and I said, we got to use that, and they all agreed. It's been helpful to watch it again in this time of grief, and so I close with it now.
I won't give up, shut up, play up, slow up, until I've preached up, prayed up, paid up, stored up, and stayed up for the cause of Christ. Amen. Yes. See, I'm a disciple of Jesus. I don't think you heard me. See, I'm a disciple of Jesus. Amen. I must go till he comes, give till I drop, preach to all known, and work till he stops. Yeah. And when he comes to call his own, he'll have no problem recognizing me, because my colors will be clear.
We come now to a time of prayer. I'm going to ask my husband to bring up the iPad that has the prayer concerns that you've sent in. Others that we're remembering at this time are Kim Kruger, recovering at home for surgery for breast cancer, praying that infection has left her body. Prayers for Charlie House and Sharon Critley at Viewcrest. For Tom Sharkey in hospice at Diamond Willow and Cloquet. For Joyce Riggle at the Franciscan down on Park Point. For Bill Cadle here in Duluth at Diamond Willow. It's hard when these folks can't see their families. Prayers for Jan Ashbach, recovering at home. Give thanks for her kids who've been so faithful. For Sarah Jessico and Baxter, seeking treatment for her depression. Prayers for Alex Lefebvre, a young man from our congregation who is currently on the run. So prayers for all of these. Also prayers for a sister and for all those struggling with mental health. She lives alone and is extremely lonely during this time. Prayers for the people who still have to leave their homes to go to work each day. Prayers of gratitude for all the staff and volunteers who make the virtual service possible. Prayer for Aunt Susie, recently diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. For a cousin David, who was diagnosed with a brain tumor this week and will have surgery tomorrow. Prayers for a coworker, John, battling colon cancer. For all healthcare workers, for their safety and for clarity and calm in a highly anxious time. Prayers for all those without work and for those whose home is not a safe place to be. Prayers for our local leaders, for our mayors, our governors, both in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and for all mayors and governors across the country. Thank you for those prayers and so much more. Let us pray. God of tears, we know you are with us in this time. We offer our hearts and prayers to you, the one who calls out each of our names, who rolls back the stones and leads us from death into life. Unbind our hearts this day. Unbind our hearts from the fear that keeps us from seeing your presence with us as we walk through this valley. We lift up all those who are walking through the valley of illness. We give thanks and pray for those who care for them, and we hold in our love and prayers all health care workers in our nation and around the world. May they get the equipment they so desperately need. We pray for our leaders and leaders around the world that they might have the wisdom and use the science to guide us through this time. And we lift up the leaders of our city and county, especially those who are part of our congregation here. For Emily, Patrick, Gary, and Liz. We lift up in prayer those who are out of work, for many who find themselves laid off and unable to pay their bills as we face April 1st this week, as they walk through the grief of uncertain economic times. And we give thanks for those who are working, for our essential workers, giving thanks for the creativity of teachers who are quickly learning new ways to do this, for those who drive trucks, thinking of you Christianos out there, for those who deliver mail, thank you Susan Cadle, for those who stock groceries and check us out, for those who pick up our garbage, who keep the lights on and water running. May we see those who we may have taken granted before and give thanks, always give thanks. For we have been reminded again how connected we really are. And now may we be bound together as we pray as Christ Jesus taught us, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Like Lazarus, we rise at the sound of Jesus' voice. Like Lazarus, we have new life in front of us, a resurrection life, not meant to be hoarded, but to be shared. I give thanks for Autumn's song that we will soon hear. Time to get up and go now and change the world somehow. Our online offerings are one way we can do something. Gifts to the church for our ongoing work in this challenging time. Gifts to the Gabriel Fund, or to Chum, or to One Great Hour of Sharing for the relief efforts around the world. There's so many ways to give. May we rise as you unbind us from our fear, O God. May we hear you calling our names in the wind of your love, carrying gifts to where they are needed.
Right now I am lying down, warm under my covers. Nothing in this world can hurt me here. Life goes on all around me, painful things, and I try to ignore it all, 'cause I need more sleep. I hit the snooze for the 15th time as I hear the world pass me by, and I roll over again. Time to get up now, go change the world somehow. Here I am at my prime and I'm wasting my time. Time to get up now, go change the world somehow. Here I
We give thanks for these gifts, a way to carry your love to where they are needed in the world. Amen. Our closing hymn is Precious Lord, Take My Hand. In a time when we can't take each other's hands, we can take God's hand. Thank you to Frost and Jim and Maddie for being our choir today.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am alone. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. When my way grows dim, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hold my hand, lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When the shadows appear and the night draws near, and the day is past and gone, at the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
Following the benediction, we do invite you to stay on and listen to more music. I give thanks to the bells. Thank you so much for the beautiful music today. Eric and Jacob both have a song, and there's plenty of time, so you can stay on and listen, and then join in the virtual coffee hour. So we hope you will do that. I want to close with the benediction that Cheryl Walsh, our visitation minister, often uses, and she taught me this. I give thanks to you, Cheryl, for your ministry and hold you in our love. May the light of God surround you. May the love of God enfold you. May the power of God protect you. May the presence of God watch over you. For wherever you are, God is. Peace, friends.
Hi, my name is Eric. I also go by the name of Like Tribes, and this song is called Lights in Movement. The song's about just kind of embracing the things around you, everyday life as it comes, and just trying to find the time to just breathe. So thanks again to Peace Church for everything that they've done for our family, the Bell family. And again, my name is Eric. I go by the name of Like Tribes, and this song is called Lights in Movement. Thanks so much. Fall in love, fall away from where it all began. Playing back the tapes that I tried always to forget. And I'll do my best to give you what you need. But really all I can do
just breathe while I lie awake. Just breathe when all I knew was fate. And keep the curtains closed but the window open. And I can't see the light but I can hear the movement. It's telling me to take the steps that I need. And always remember to just breathe while I lie awake. And just breathe when all I knew was fate. And just breathe while I lie awake. And just breathe when all I knew was fate. Keep talking real talk, this always gets the best of me. Keep talking real talk, this always gets the best of me. Keep talking real talk, this always gets the best of me. Keep talking real talk, this always gets the best of me. Keep talking real talk, this always gets the best of me. Keep talking real talk, this always gets the best of me. Just breathe while I lie awake. And just breathe when all I knew was fate. And just breathe while I lie awake. And just breathe when all I knew was fate. Woo! Fall in love, fall away from where it all began. And playing back the tapes that I try always to forget. And I'll do my best to give you what you need. But really all I can do is just breathe. Thanks so much. Peace and love.
Hey guys, my name is Jacob Aaron Bell. I'm Xavier's son. We had planned to come and share some music with you guys this week, and it looks like with everything that's happening, that's not going to be an option. I wish that I could be there with you guys, but since I can't, I just wanted to share this song with you guys. This is a song that I wrote a while ago. It's called All We Are, and I feel like it's kind of appropriate because the song is about being comfortable in your own skin. The song is about being yourself. And if any of you guys are like me right now, you're probably cooped up in a house with, you know, your family or a friend or a loved one or a partner or maybe even pets, and you really can't escape from them, and you just feel like, you know, you can't go to school, can't go to work, they have to see you 24 hours a day. But that's okay. it's okay to be who you are. And I think that sometimes when you are who you are, that's when people get to see like the real you. So this song goes out to my dad. This song goes out to Chaplain X. Tried to hide, but it looks like you got caught in a dramatic performance of the person you swore you were not. Oh, what a sight to see you lose your cool so fast. Poor thing put in all that work. Did your accomplished feeling last? I can hear the hurt in your voice when you force a smile and say you're just getting through your day. But all we are is who we are. Right? So stop telling yourself that you can't cry. It's okay to be imperfect. It doesn't make you flawed, it just makes you human. Remember back when we were young and how much fun it was to make believe. I don't know why we ever stopped trying to become the kings and queens. Well, I'm glad I got the chance to tell you that you really need to take a chance. You'd be surprised to realize how little time it takes to learn to dance. Now don't give up, just keep on moving, dance until you think you're gonna break. Take a chance, but just a short one. Only sleep when no one's awake. Cause all we are is who we are. Stop telling yourself that you can't try. All we are still so far from who we are. Oh, we are still so far from who we are. All we are is who we are. So stop telling yourself that you can't try. Stop telling yourself that you can't try. Stop telling yourself that there's no time. Stop telling yourself that you can't cry. Your eyes are proof that you're alive. Stop telling yourself that you can't cry. Your eyes are proof that you're alive. Because all we are guys so much. Love.